Hello, Michele Garcia with Inspiring Interviews on Cielo Spiritual Foundation's YouTube station. Definitely another beautiful day at Cielo Sober Living. And today I'm interviewing one of the guests here, the beautiful resident, Tami Chapman. And she has been here for how long now, Tami?
4.5 years.
That's right. That's right. So can you share with everyone just maybe a little bit about what growth have you experienced in this journey? What is your best takeaway, perhaps?
The biggest, I think, would be living in the present and realizing that I am not my diagnosis. Yeah. I am not my past. I am who I am right now. And to look at myself as somewhere who has grown in many areas. In the past, I had a tendency when I got uncomfortable to literally run out the door, sometimes in my bare feet, run down the street, get lost, having to have the police bring me home. It's usually something where I completely blew it out of proportion, or I don't want to use, because Michele is always against that, using your diagnosis as an excuse. But I do have a diagnosis of bipolar, and that is part of the reason. But in the past couple of years, I've learned that's not the answer. The answer is stay put. Stay where you are, pause, pray, meditate, do something for somebody else. My mom always said that when you're feeling down and out, do something for somebody quick. And so when I do something for another member of the house, making a cup of coffee, bring them some water, or something like that, it brings me back to present and out of my selfish self, and just realizing that, there are no big deals. And I do have a tendency to make everything a big deal. And yes, I've gone a lot less, but I still have a tendency to go back. But I recognize it in myself now. And so I bring myself back to center. And
what's one of the modalities here you feel helps most mindfulness with that?
I would say meditation, and that was the hardest thing for me to handle since being here, is learning how to pause and meditate. And I would say in the past 6 months, I've really experienced how beneficial meditation can be. I always had a tendency to pray, but sometimes it was, ashamedly enough, it was to see what I could get out of it, instead of asking for God's will to be done, or God's guidance, or how He could use me. I sort of use it as a selfish end. And that's not something I was brought up with. It's not something I was taught. It's something I learned over the years. And I want to bring myself right back to center, and realize that if I am present in the moment, or if I'm not, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
When you are, what happens for you?
Then when I am, I like myself a little bit more.
That's good.
And I enjoy being with myself, because I'm not running, or acting on autopilot, or what can I get? It's more than what can I give, and what I can bring to my community, my family, myself, my family, my community, my home, my new family.
Exactly. So at Cielo, we recommend that people either work, go to school, volunteer, and you have actually done that. And
yes, I volunteer at Desert Aids Project in Cathedral Valley. I am part of 3 book clubs. Now I join an art class. I exercise.
I worked in the library before as well.
I worked at the library, and which I will start up again. Right now, I depend on public transportation, so the heat's a little too much. But once it does start to cool down again, I'll return to that.
Nice. And so You were telling me a story about the bus driver and what they said to you, because they've actually known you for some years now and watched you.
Yes, I remember that. This bus driver, who I've known for 3.5, 4 years, saw me every morning, every single morning, or whenever I was going to volunteer work or the gym or something like that, she would see me. And I'll never forget this one morning. It was literally, not exaggerating, 4:45 in the morning. I got on the bus and I said, "Good morning." And I sat down and she said, "There's something different about you, Tami." She knew me by name. "There's something different about you." I said, "Really? What?" She said, "I don't know. I just can't figure out, but there's something different." And I said, "Good, I hope." And she said, "Oh, definitely it's good." So that made myself carry my head a little bit higher that morning and that day.
Yeah,
so
that's nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I think everyone, all your therapists, your life coach, your psychologist you see, and they've all, and myself, have all like said that, you know, I've noticed and shared with you your growth, you know.
Right.
It's noticeably different in the last, I would say in the last 2 years the most, because after you work the steps with, you know,
Sonny, yeah.
You know, it just, I think that really transformed you a lot. And then you did that banning, you know, quick table meeting thing.
Oh yeah, I did that a couple times.
Right?
Yeah, but I prefer going the steps slower.
Yeah,
and
but it's good. It's good to try.
It was an experience.
Another layer, another experience with the steps.
And it's something I had to overcome because it was a little bit more close. A lot of people in a closed environment.
Okay.
So it proved the only reason I didn't like that is because it challenged me to deal with people in a little bit more closer environment and to open yourselves up to so many people.
Yeah, you were being intimate with that many at once.
Yeah, it was, and also I had, at one point I had a panic attack, and I had to call, one year I had to call my mom to bring me down from it. The next year when my mom went to be with God, Michele brought me down from it. I think the biggest factor, and I can't emphasize this much, is being well-rounded, be holistic, I think you call it, Michele.
Yes.
Holistic. I have a stepdad that has really been out there for me in all ways possible. As I said, I go to the gym, I work out, I do artwork, I do volunteer work. I have a partial hospitalization program. I do individual therapy group. I cook, and that is cooking for my new family. Is so. I'm so glad Michele encourages us at Cielo Sober Living to do that, and to sit at the table and eat together as a family. No TV, no radio, no phone, just sitting and having good old-fashioned conversation. Oh, it's so
It's
special.
funny you should say that, you know, old-fashioned, because it's like, I don't know, nowadays it kind of is that way, because not a lot of people take the time to actually do that, which is, you know, I'm thankful that people can appreciate it here and that you do that, because I think, you know, one thing I learned when I went to school to be a teacher at one point is that socialization is key to life.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, just the practice of, you know, being able to be an active listener, and to now at this point you're actually watching other people's growth, right?
Oh, exactly. That's so rewarding. Before I was so into myself and all that, but now I would say in the past year I'm looking at certain people in this home grow and flourish, come out of their shells.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of them are literally like this in their little shells, and then now I've seen them come out of their shells like, wow, look at their dust.
Yeah,
and it's so exciting.
That is. It makes me happy too. Yeah, I think it's one of my great, even in the subtleties, as you know, when people do a sound bath, when I facilitate it, right? But then after we do a process group to talk about it, hearing the feedback of people and like what inwardly happens for them internally, you know, and what intentions they're learning how to set for themselves. For me, that's like really rewarding. You know, it makes the work just extra special. And I think it's so important for when people do their inner work to really acknowledge it and to talk about it and to log those intentions into the universe and to share their truth and proclaim, essentially, right? You're like, you are proclaiming it when you share it in that way. And people can support you so much better in that context of things.
Right.
It's like, let me see how I can help, or how can I, if someone wants to learn how to get to more meetings, right? You can be that person that offers the ride, or, you want to share a ride, invite them and make a point to do that because it supports somebody else. And that's always a nice thing, that you can't get help unless you talk about it or ask for it. So I always encourage people to ask for what you need. What are your needs? Discover that.
Right.
It's so funny how we just assume people might know, or they're supposed to know, like, like it's my birthday and I'm, people are supposed to celebrate it, but they don't know, but I haven't told anybody, and I don't, it's like, no, but we do love to celebrate all the holidays here, and we do love to, make fun events for people here.
That's something that's important to point out. Holidays. We have different religions in this home, a few different religions, and we celebrate every holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah.
I know, right?
Other religious people, whoever are in the home,
I feel like it's just a good opportunity to bring people together and connect.
And that's something that I've learned from being here. Another thing that's important that I learned, and I think this is very important as far as my growth because of being in a community like this, is 2 or 3 years ago, I had my own room before.
Oh, right.
And right over there in the Cathedral, and I would isolate and isolate and isolate. And Michele gently but firmly said, Tami, I'm going to have to remove you from this room for a while because I notice you're isolating and that's not healthy. So I moved in to the main master bedroom in the main house for about maybe 2.5, 3 years. And I learned the importance of socialization. So Michele said, okay, we're going to give you, I asked her for another chance. And she said,
because
okay,
you worked the steps already. You were already sponsoring people. I feel like you were in a better place. And I think, you were leaning into a space where you needed that and wanted that for yourself to challenge. And you make the effort to come in the main house and connect with people. You don't isolate them.
That's because I realized that being in my room and with in those 4 walls is going to, yes, it's important to have that alone time, which is I'm learning to have alone time and be happy, but it's also important to be part of the larger community. Yeah.
No, it totally helps you and others, actually. Yeah, it's so beneficial. Isolation is definitely one of the key things we don't want to do. I was watching the Blue Zones, and that talks about how people who live in communities actually live longer. They live to be over 100 because they're community based, and the elders are still being active and sharp and playing games and doing things within the community to keep their mind cognitively stimulated, but also physically active. And then people, they gather their food and they grow it and they make meals together and they do these kind of things like we do here. And they prove it. In fact, they live longer. And it's funny because one of the Blue Zones is in what is it? Altamira over there, or no, Loma Linda. And a lot of the other ones are, somewhere kind of on an island or somewhere exotic, but that's it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of vegetarians there though, right? Because there's a Seventh-day Adventist.
Seventh-day Adventist,
right.
I was accepted to graduate school there. It sounds terrible, but one of the reasons I didn't go is you weren't allowed to have any caffeine in the room.
Oh my!
You couldn't be cooking any meat. Right. It's like, okay.
Yeah, not ready for that.
I wasn't ready for that at the time. I don't know if I ever will be, because I love my steaks.
I get it. Yeah. That's funny. But I do think your eating has changed significantly in your recovery in the last year or two. Actually, a lot more better choices.
I try.
You're aware of what isn't really healthy and what is now. You know that fried foods or eating late isn't really what you want to do for yourself. What is it, 80-20?
80-20. 80% you eat poorly.
No.
Oh, that's right. I got it mixed up there.
That's funny, Tami. So that's, one of those things. What do we read? James's book, Toxic Free Diet. So many interesting books to read here. You're reading that one that my friend that my yoga teacher gave me with God Talks.
God Talks.
Are you enjoying that?
Very much. It speaks about something that I guess that stands out the most. I just read about 50 pages. Mm-hmm. Is that everybody knows what this conscious is and the unconscious, but we also have the superconscious, which is able to be the pilot of our conscious and unconscious. And in other words, it's a pilot that is sort of like the radio signal that tells us how we react to the world. And it gave the example of, I'm sure everyone's all of a sudden had the experience of you're thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they call. That is your superconscious taking over because you're consciously or unconsciously thinking about them. That the superconscious is bringing that phone call,
calling it into existence. You manifest. Yeah, wow, that's pretty radical. I like it. I feel like it's very empowering to know that our thoughts have that much to it.
Right.
So it makes you want to think about good things, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So we can
that's the point.
Have good thoughts about ourselves and others and call that into existence. Since we are what we attract, right? And what we think, then we want to, do just that and think about the things that we want to call into existence.
One of the things it does also, that book is so amazing, Michele, and I've read 50 pages, that we have to ask ourselves, what lies are we telling ourselves in our head? And then, but what's the actual reality?
Nice.
So in other words, you think of the lies, you list them either in your head or on paper, and then look at the other side of the coin and say, what is actually the truth?
I like that. Yeah, so it's like a core false beliefs, and then what's our truth? And then it's also like sometimes for me it's like, what do I want to work toward? What would I like to have? What would I like to work toward for my end goal of truth? Like, I may not be there yet, but I know that if I take action steps in that direction, I can manifest in that way. It is God's will, but ultimately I think I'm pretty aligned with God's will. But I like that. I think that she'll be happy to hear how much you enjoyed it so far. And I know she went to the conference in San Diego he just spoke at. What was his name? Ed? Did you remember that?
Ed Rush.
Ed Rush. Okay. And I think she'll be happy to hear, because she was very thrilled to get to go hear him. She was very thrilled. And I was invited, but I was speaking at a meeting and I couldn't go because I made a commitment. Aww. So I know, right? So, but it's all, no matter what, we have to, I get to show up for what I commit to.
That's the thing I really need
that's
to work
integral.
on.
That's integrity. And integrity for me, it doesn't matter if things go wrong. Things go wrong, but if I'm integral, I can pretty much deal with anything. You know what I mean? Whatever life throws me, I know that it's just part of the process, and I'll get through. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right?
Exactly.
But it's been pretty good. I have more blessings than I do anything else. So, and I think it's how we look at it, right? Perception.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your perception in a nutshell of your life today and from where you were maybe before 4 years ago. How would you describe it to somebody who's new and is looking for hope and some kind of a chance to think that maybe, just maybe, there's another way?
Wow. You got this.
You got this.
You got this. That's the best way I can put it. You got this.
And then
you do the footwork. You do what you know you're supposed to do. And put one foot to the other and go for it.
how do you know what you're supposed to do? Like,
well, in other words, just like you were speaking on, following through on your commitments, doing your daily routine,
so living in spiritual principle. Okay.
Yeah, living your going through your daily routine.
That helps you.
Healthy way. And to steal the phrase of the Bible, I must decrease and thou must increase. In other words, the community of honoring God, your higher power, whatever, must increase. And you decrease as far as putting yourself down, but realizing it's not all about you.
Right. That's very well said. Yeah. Lovely, Tami. More God, less self-seeking, self-centered,
Exactly. That's to put away without sounding too biblical. Like I have
it's okay. I love to hear it from different perspectives. It's funny because the truth is the truth in so many different languages, but it's always leading back to the same end game, right?
Right. Exactly.
Like,
that's what I've learned. That's another thing I've learned in the past 4 years. It's really another thing.
How to be open-minded in a way.
And to expand your horizon, not to live in a tunnel.
Right. Yeah. Be open. That's so great. Open, honest, and willing is like the secret recipe, right, for life. No secret. Anyway, so that's our interview for you this lovely Sunday at Cielo Sober Living. I hope that you got something out of it that's helpful. I know I did. I love listening to her because I mean, I can't help but know the growth that she's come from and that she continues to trudge. And she doesn't let anything hold her back. She doesn't, she finished school. Remember when you went to medical school and you completed, doing all that and just like everything and anything that, what did you end up getting to school for? I forgot what was that.
I got for a medical office assistant.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
it was 9 months of getting up at 4:30 a.m., taking the bus, sometimes waiting at Home Depot for an hour before the school opens. But I went through 9 months of that, 4 days a week. I finished the 9 months. I passed all my classes.
Yeah, that's
Michele, Ali. A friend of ours who went to be with God, Robert, and Jessica, all came with us.
Graduation day.
Like graduation
Yeah, that was
day.
nice.
Yeah.
That was really. Oh, Robert, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Not all of us make it.
God
but
bless
I am thankful that we have and that we can tell our story and share a little bit with you. And I hope that I really hope you got something good out of this. And until our next meeting with next podcast on Cielo Spiritual Foundation, inspiring interviews, please subscribe, like, share on my YouTube. My podcast will be coming to you soon on Spotify. And I just hope that there's something here that you might feel called to share about your story with me, and if you do DM me and let me know if you're interested, and you can tell your story. And until then, namaste. The good in me sees the good in you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Yeah.